Hey guys, today we're building this Suntour Honor. And the only tools you need are a couple screwdrivers and a wrench. Now you can take off the claw if you want, but I'm just going to do it to make cleaning easier. Alright, so now we're going to actually service the B-spring before we take off that pulley. That way it'll be easier. So grab your screwdriver and unscrew this pin. It's pretty easy to do since you don't have to pull back the cage. That springs out. Now grab your big screwdriver and unscrew this screw. Alright, then I took off the cage and this thing is now fully disassembled. Alright, now it's fully taken apart and it's time to clean. So I like to use some cleaner or degreaser. Make sure to especially get this part where the cage rotates because you can't actually take it apart. And it's pretty sticky as you can see. So you want to spray in there and make sure you get it nice and freed up. And since this thing is entirely made out of steel, you're probably going to have some rust. And for that, I like to use some aluminum foil and just scrub it on the rust and use some water too, and that really takes off the rust well. I don't recommend using metal rescue or vapor rust because that will flake the chrome off, and using a rust dissolver on chrome just usually doesn't go well. So alright, so after a bit of aluminum foil scrubbing, I'm going to be using this ultrasonic cleaner. And as usual, all I'm using is water and dish soap. Alright, so here's all the parts nice and cleaned down, and I did some aluminum foil scrubbing. Another thing I want to mention is you want to make sure to lube up this little joint right here. You want to make sure it moves nice and smooth. I just use a bit of WD-40. I'm waving the derailleur back and forth and it's moving really smoothly, so this is how you want it to be. Now since the majority of the entire derailleur is chrome and it's steel, you want to protect it from rust, which is why I'm using this Quick-Glo. It's like a wax. I'm going to be applying this to the derailleur, make sure there's no rust on it, use the aluminum foil, and then use this wax. So get it like a paintbrush and then just apply it to the entire derailleur and any other chrome parts you see. Alright, so after applying the wax, then I waited like 10 minutes and then just took it off with a paper towel. Now it's time to assemble. And as usual, another thing you're going to need is grease. Alright, so start off by greasing up the outside of the shaft and also the top and one of these little slots for the spring. Alright, so now comes putting in the spring. This could be a little bit confusing to some people, but here, let me show you how to do it. So if you want to put it in the middle one, this is middle tightness. This is what I'm going to do. Line up the line for where the spring goes in at the top right here, and you want this to be at about this position right here. So if you want it to be tighter, you move it like this, so this is lined up, and that's kind of behind. If you want it looser, you go all the way like that. So this is past 3 o'clock. So I'm going to do it in the middle, just like this. Alright, so now as you can see the spring is in. This is how it looks in the middle position. This is how I'm going to run it. Alright, now you also want to grease up the outside of the spring because it will rub against the plastic housing and make a scraping sound. Ask me how I know. You can go ahead and put on your cap and screw in the bolts. Alright, so now we're going to rotate the cage in this direction around so we can put the pin in. As you can see, the middle hole is right here, and this is the tighter hole on this side, and the looser hole is there. I highly recommend just putting in the middle hole because the other two are just way too extreme. So yeah, do the middle hole. Alright, so before we put on the cage and rotate it, we have to put the pulley in it. So first you just grease up the inside of this plastic bushing, and then grab your metal bushing and put it in. And also you want to grease up the inside of the metal bushing too. And just put a little bit of grease in the inside of the metal bushing too. Alright, so before you rotate the cage, you want to line up the bolt with the pin, and we're actually going to put in the pulley because the bolt for the pulley does not fit when you rotate it back, which kind of sucks. So yeah, put it in, put the bolts in, and tighten it. Alright, so make sure you tighten down the bolt. Pretty straightforward. Make sure you tighten it down really well because you won't have a chance later. Make sure it spins nice and smooth, and then get the cage and rotate it around, and then just put the pin in the hole. And it's nice because it's already lined up. Alright, and same thing for the second pulley. Tighten it down, make sure it spins nice and smooth, and onto the P-knuckle. Alright, and for the P-knuckle, you want to grease it up a little bit, and grab your washer and put it on. After that, grab your small thin washer and screw on the claw. Alright, after you screw on the claw, just get your 17mm bolt and screw it on. Alright, so after you screw on the pinch bolt and the barrel adjuster, if you have one, you got yourself a fully rebuilt derailleur. I like this honor. It may be low end, but this is when low end derailleurs were super reliable and were made from chrome steel instead of plastic. So remember guys, if you have an old derailleur, don't replace it, just rebuild it. Don't be afraid to use those older parts. Thanks to everyone who subbed, and I'll see you in the next one.